In Afghanistan, a bunch of army convoys are on their way to tend to those who are stuck on the road. One soldier comes out and curses for this trouble, while the other one gets angry and engages in a fight, but they are merely brothers. They embrace, and the older one gets to fix the problem. In there, his brother brings up the topic of assignment for the Ranger Assessment Selection Program, the hardest of all Army positions. The elder one is not interested since it's too tough, and recommends that he can pursue it if he wants, but his brother feels bad because they plan to do it together. Feeling sad for him, he ultimately agrees. Then, when he is on his way to return, a missile blows up a convoy. They are immediately under attack, and everything is blown apart. The soldier wakes up, and he is all alone. He finds his brother, who gradually falls to his demise. He wakes up on the bus. It's been 2 years since the incident. He takes some antidepressants. The buses head into the Ranger Assessment Center. At first, they are all lined up, given their numbers, and assigned work. Each row is assigned a leader as well. When the soldier comes in, they see that he has been medically denied 4 times. He is given the number 81 and asked to be the leader, but he refuses that. Later, all the soldiers are gathered as Sergeant Torres gives a speech on the process. It is going to be a training of 8 weeks and is going to be nightmarishly hard. If somehow they reach the final stage, they will take a 24-hour simulated mission known as the Death March, the hardest of all Army selection programs in the world. If they pass that, they will become a Ranger. The training begins, and they all give their best. As the first round ends, some are retracted. The second round continues and ends. More are rejected. Likewise, the rounds continue, and 81 is a lot better than the others. Later on lunch, number 7 sees how 81 eats alone. More training follows, and they're all asked about where they were assigned before, and hearing where 81 is coming from, everybody glares at him. At lunch, the others talk of him, and number 44 tells them the story. Meanwhile, news is being played that NASA has seen an asteroid about to pass by the Earth. Eventually, more soldiers are non-selected. At lunch, the others continue talking about 81, and more info comes in that he won a Silver Star. He was the only survivor and carried his brother 10 miles back to the base. 15 curiously asks him if it's true, but 7 stops him. 15 says he is only curious to know if he is a hero or not. At night, 7 watches 81 taking antidepressants. The next day, he makes some small talk with him as well. The trainings get tougher and more soldiers are out. 81 still has nightmares of the tragic past events. It's the final week, and the work is to walk under a swimming pool with some heavy weights. Everyone gives up, but 81 continues imagining his brother. However, at the last moment he fails. He is taken up, given CPR, and is luckily saved. One sergeant says he is a liability. 81 watches the news of the asteroids that are seemingly believed not to be a single object, but a cluster of multiple interstellar bodies. 81 is called in to the sergeant. They say that he must resign immediately. He tries to protest, but they shut him up, saying he is physically too strong, and it's not a problem, but his mental condition is not good. He doesn't sleep, doesn't talk to the others, and keeps avoiding leading. They say they can kick him out, but they want him to willfully resign. However, 81 gets up, politely rejects the offer, and walks away. The sergeants plan on doing something about it. For the final round, the non-selects are out, and 81 is not among them. Everyone else celebrates. For the final mission, Torres maps out the terrain for them. The demo is a pilot who has crashed, and they're going to take him back to the base, fighting all the huge obstacles. This time, they assign 81 as the team leader. The soldiers head to the chopper, and the sergeant believes that if he wants to be a ranger, he has to lead. The choppers take off. They pass through the valley over the dense jungle and land on the starting point. The team has a moment to sit and start the mission. They have 24 hours to complete it. 81 tries to give a speech but can't, and 7 helps him motivate. They head to the crash site, passing through mountains and canyons, and by then, night falls. They are waiting for the crash, which is yet to happen. 7 asks 81 if he can tell him something personal, but he denies outright, saying he will only talk about the mission. Eventually, something fast passes through the sky. They assume the sergeant has played this superficially. They walk on. The dawn breaks. They finally head to the spot where they notice the crashed aircraft, which seems a bit too high-end for them. They plan to settle charges and blow it open to get the demo hostage out. One of them says the compass isn't working, and 81 notices it as well. 111 says the comms are out of signal as well. All they hear is a strange howling noise. They think it's part of the plans, and the soldiers go in to settle the charges. Meanwhile, 81 notices something glaring in the distance. He asks 44 to cover him as he goes to check out. The charges are settled, and 81 reaches the spot to find an aircraft demolished, realizing it is their real target. The charges explode, but to their shock, the aircraft is intact with not even a scratch. Soon it begins to change. It gradually lightens up and begins to rise. It's a huge robot-shaped machine that immediately spreads a blue laser, which scans through them all. Soon, it turns red and locks a soldier. It gets out a weapon and fires. The soldier is demolished as the others run and dies as well. 7 somehow hides and then runs. The machine locks 44, but 81 comes in time and saves them. They run away immediately, escaping through the jungle as the machine keeps firing. They come across a pit and stop, but the machine throws a bomb. It explodes and they fall, stumbling brutally across woods and stones. One of them is pierced through with a sharp wood, and 7 is horribly injured in his leg. 81 gets up and, seeing the situation, gets flashbacks of Afghanistan. He has broken his fingers but manages to realign them. He rushes to one screaming soldier to quiet him down. Together, they attend to the pierced soldier and help him get out of there. He then settles 7 to a corner. Everyone is in confusion about what that thing was. They realize that they need the radio that was with 111. 81 runs to get it. He reaches 111, but the comms are destroyed. 81 sees a soldier alive and crawling. He also sees the machine approaching him. It puts the laser on him and demolishes him immediately. The injured soldier is in terrible condition as the others try to help him, but he can't make it and passes away. 81 comes rushing down. He says they have to move instantly. The machine is hunting them. 15 is confused about what that thing is, and 81 has no clue, but he knows the machine is following their trail. He throws a rope down the pit. Everybody gets their rope out. They all get down one after another. 96 and 81 tries helping 7, but 96 asks 81 to get going and helps 7 to slide down. 7 slowly skids down, while in the meantime, 81 looks at his compass and realizes it is nearby. The machine stands behind 96 and blows him up. 7 falls down with an impact, but 81 rushes to cram his mouth. The body of 96 falls before them. The machine slowly approaches the cliff. It then scans the terrain. They try their best to stick to the wall as much as possible. It gradually passes all of them, but 15's spooked leg catches on it. They immediately take off as the machine fires rapidly. They pass through the jungle, and the machine switches its weapons and throws a bunch of explosives. They try to escape them as much as possible, but keep receiving the impacts. As they go far, the machine retrieves its weapon. The soldiers have reached an open grassland. They all sit down to take rest. 81 gets to fix 7's legs. He once more has a panic attack from the PTSD, but 7 holds his hand and gives him confidence. 81 asks for morphines, but they see that all of it is broken from a fall. 7 asks him to do it without. He gets on work and adjusts the bone. He puts on a bandage, but 7 pass out. They attach him to a stretcher. 15 is frustrated with all of this since they cannot connect with the base either. 81 then reveals that it wasn't their target. He saw it, and it was merely an old fighter jet. All they have to do now is cross the terrain and reach the finish line for the whole team waiting for them. 15 says there is possibly no finish line, but 81 knows it is their only way. They get rid of the unnecessary baggage and head on. They pass through the dense jungle and come across a river with heavy currents on one side. 81 asks them to get their ropes out. He will go to the other side and tie a zig. 81 ties up the rope and jumps in. The current keeps on pushing him aside, but he keeps swimming. 44 stays with his position in the meantime. Soon, they can't see 81 anywhere. Some moments pass by, and 81 finally rises on the other side. He gets up and attaches the rope to a trunk. 15 goes on, tying up 7 behind. He slowly passes through the rope, but 7's stretcher gets stuck in a tangle. 15 goes back and tries to fix it, but one of the knots opens and 7 hangs from the rope. 81 takes charge and gets on the rope as 44 approaches from the other side for balance. The others struggle to keep hold of the pressure of the rope. They reach the center and try to get 7 up. However, just then, the compass begins to malfunction. The machine has approached. It locks the soldiers holding the rope and explodes them. They all fall into the water. The current keeps on taking them to the cliff, while 81's leg gets stuck on the rope. The machine steps down on the river and fires at them. He is about to step on 81, but he manages to cut the rope with his knife in time. It fires at him, but he manages to dive and survive. He sees 7 floating away and swims after them, managing to catch up. They gradually reach the cliff and fall through the fountain. 81 struggles to breathe and holds onto a relic. Later, the others get them out. 7 is still alive. It is a soldier waiting at the finish line who has helped save them. He tells him the direction to the finishing line. 81 gets ready to embark on the journey as they see the head of one of the soldiers floating. They get going. They eventually reach a grassland. They head on and find a trap set by the sergeants for the mission. A rope tied to a flare. 81 realizes the base is close. They continue walking and eventually reach the base, but it is all destroyed. They feel it's done by the machine, but 15 wonders how, since it was behind them all the time. They see the tower is down and realize why the comms were out. 81 checks over the place and realizes that the machine has passed over this place, crashing through the mountain. It must be the asteroids the news was talking about, and certainly, there's no way it's from this planet. Suddenly, they hear someone, and it's the sergeant, almost burned up and dies soon enough. However, 81 notices a tank and decides to get it fixed immediately. 15 is pissed off and says not everyone is emotionless like him. He doesn't get tired because he is a hero, and they are normal human beings. It angers 81, and he rushes at him, saying he is not a hero. He never managed to make it back to the base. He woke up in a hospital, and his brother had already died by then. They told him he passed just 100 yards from the base. He was still alive but died because he passed out. He says now it's not about them anymore. They must get that tank ready, return to the start point, and warn them of what's coming. 81 sees the condition of how the tank is stuck and says they must start the engine. It doesn't work, so 15 charges in and fixes it, having prior knowledge. The tank starts, they tie it with a rope, and everybody pulls. They give all their strength, and eventually it comes out. 44 finds some food inside as well, and gives it to the others. They take up 7 to get him in when the flare goes up behind. They realize the machine is nearby. They quickly get in. The compass begins to move fast. Another flare goes up. One of them sees that the tank has no ammo, while 15 runs to get some. He finds some and sees the ground shaking. He runs as the machine approaches them, but before he can catch up, he is shot. The ammos are thrown in, but he is finished. 44 accelerates, and the tank goes on amidst the explosions. They set up the ammo and begin to fire at it, but they bounce off it. 44 turns the tank rapidly, and everyone inside crashes. The machine rapidly shoots on as fire is set inside. They put it off, and the tank armor has sustained huge, heavy hits. However, the machine has slowed down and they move on fast. But 81 sees it slows down only to throw explosives. One after another, explosives fall before the tank, and 44 somehow drives in between them as the others inside face heavy collisions. The tank is going through the explosions, and if that's not enough, the machine throws almost 100 more at their way. The person turns over and falls off the cliff. 44 tries their best to hold control of the tank while the others struggle for balance. Slowly, they get stable and can't see the machine anymore. 81 thinks they outran it. However, it's only above them. It lands in front of them. This time, it opens its faces and a heavy ray of blue lights is seen, which fires a powerful beam of laser. The tank moves out and tries to run. They think it is pissed. They get guns out and start shooting at it as one of their hands gets blown away. 81 launches grenades at it, is set on fire, but that has barely any effect on it. The tank is eventually half blown, but the firing continues. Unaimingly, however, it fires on the rocks aside. 81 can't keep hold of 7 anymore as he slips away. He fires a grenade on the mountain aside, and the rocks break in over the machine. 81 asks 44 to turn over, but sees they have passed away. The tank explodes. 81 wakes up injured. He gets up to see that all of them are dead. He reaches the rocks and rises to find the machine. He finds only its hand, not the full body. He looks back and sees the machine behind, raising a ray of light to the space. He hides behind a rock and realizes that he is trying to communicate with somebody. He then looks behind and finds 7. He runs to him and sees that he is alive. He tries to wake him up as he sees the machine has stopped communicating. He then scans the fallen tank and destroys it. It slowly comes down and 81 runs away, dragging 7. It soon begins to rain, and when he is in the muddy jungle, 7 slips. He struggles to go on further. Frustrated, he lies down, realizing he has failed again. 7 is awake, and he reveals that he knew who he was. He was a friend to his brother and all he talked about was being a ranger with his elder brother. He tried to tell him about this, but 81 didn't want to talk. 81 then says that he thought if he could reach the finish line, he might be able to sleep. He thinks he failed everybody, not just his brother. 7 tells him that he still did not give up, and that's not fair. Soon, he sees the machine scanning over him. He doesn't know how to end it, but after looking at it for some time, he notices there's always smoke coming out of his head. He realizes that's a venting system. He also notices a builder's factory and says he has a plan. He puts 7 by a tree and asks him to wait for him. 81 then heads to the factory. He heads to the engine room and turns on the light. He finds some dynamite and a flare gun. He finds the main setup and turns on the floodlights. However, he can't find a way to get access to the rock carrier. Then he finds a remote that controls the rocks. 7, lying by the tree, hears the machine coming. He holds on for his life, but 81 fires the flare, attracting the machine's attention. It gradually heads to the factory. The vent continues blowing air. It scans the place, not knowing dynamites are set down under. It blows up, and the machine falls. 81 smashes out of the garage with a bulldozer. The face of the car stops the fires as it smashes into the machine. The bulldozer pushes it behind the wall. Then 81 presses the button, and the rocks fall over its head. It then releases a jet fire behind it, and this time, the bulldozer slowly backs off. When it gets to space, it opens its face to release the blue laser, but 81 immediately accelerates and smashes it again against the wall. The rocks continue dropping, slowly diminishing the vent. The bulldozer also begins to malfunction, unable to take in any further. However, by then, the vent is closed, and the machine begins to heat up. The machine begins misfiring, and it shoots into a tower, which falls over the bulldozer, but 81 jumps out in time. The machine is all heated up and soon is blown. The machine then slowly falls dead. However, it causes the explosives to fall onto the fire. 81 runs fast, climbs through the rocks, and jumps as the whole place bursts. Later in the morning, he takes 7 and finds the base. He takes him there, and the medics take him away. He sees the whole place is in chaos. He is met by Sergeant Sheridan, saying that those machines are everywhere. They have neutralized the first wave, but are preparing for a global invasion. The news is that the machines have spread all across the world, and sadly, more are on their way. They don't know what they want or where they are from. The whole world is preparing for a war. Sheridan approaches him and says that the machines don't die easily, but he is curious how he managed to finish one by himself. He explains the situation, that they need to close the vent, and it will choke out. The sergeant says that his intel will save a lot of lives, and 81 says that he was right. He wasn't ready. The sergeant then gives him the badge of a ranger and says he is ready now. They have gathered the soldiers, and 81 gives them the speech of his solo, killing a machine to motivate them, and they all head to the choppers to fight in the unwanted war. You were watching the recap of the 2026 movie War Machine. For more recaps like this, stay subscribed to the channel, and if you have liked this video, you may also like this.